Hi there, church. I'm happy to be here with you, just sharing a couple reflections on lament. And I'm really grateful that we've been doing this lament series. I think it's super important for us to talk about emotions, and something that we don't maybe talk about that much, especially in the Presbyterian church. But the truth is that God has made us with emotions. And I think that's a really important part of our faith, of our life with God. And so this series on lament is really helping explore that. What do we do with those emotions? And I think it's helpful to even declare something as simple as that it's human to be angry, to be sad, to be, indignant, outraged, all these things. And we see other people expressing those emotions, and I think sometimes that scares us, that it shouldn't be that messy or uncontrolled or wild. But in the Psalms and with the laments, we see that people of God delve deep into those emotions and embrace them. They don't try to shove them down or say that they're bad or that they're not of God, but that they bring them to the surface. They bring them to God. And so I think that's been really helpful about this series on lament. And I think it's good for us Christians to not be uncomfortable talking about emotions or trying to put boundaries on them, but to recognize that God has made us good and God has made us with these emotions. So I think some of our uncomfortability with it comes from more of a Greek understanding of the world and the Stoics and how they just prioritized mind and logic over our bodies and our emotions. And I don't think we need to be afraid of our emotions, but recognizing it as a way that God speaks to us, that God molds us and shapes us and wants to interact with us. And the Hebrews had a much more holistic understanding of how we were made and how we were to bring our whole selves before God. So I'm really appreciating that about this series. And one verse that's really been helpful for me in lament is Psalm 51, 16 to 17. And this was really helpful for me in a time of my life when I had done a lot of repressing my emotions. I had been a campus minister and had suffered a lot of disappointments and frustrations, both in ministry and also personally in relationships. And I thought that the faithful thing to do was to just keep trusting God and shove that away and just focus on what it meant to be obedient to God. And that all those things were just maybe those things were just symptoms of, I didn't have enough faith or something like that. But God took me through a time of lament in my life. And this verse really helped me understand that God wanted to see the whole broad range of emotions within me and wanted me to bring that in front of God and us to talk about it together. So let me just read the verse, Psalm 51, verses 16 and 17. For you have no delight in sacrifice. If I were to give a burnt offering, you would not be pleased. The sacrifice acceptable to God is a broken spirit. A broken and contrite heart, O God, you will not despise. So during that time in my life, God really used this verse to show me how much He wanted me to expose my heart. And not make it tidy, not make it pretty, but just let it out. Let it all out. All of the anger, all of the sadness, just to pour it out at His feet. And I think I had just been repressing it for a long time, and that was really unhealthy for me. I was recently at a Zoom memorial service, and the pastor there used an image that I thought was really helpful. So he talked about how we have a love tank inside of us and how we need that love tank to be filled on a regular basis, right? And I think we understand that. God needs to pour into us love on a daily basis. We need that from friends and family and people in our lives. But the other thing he said is that we also have a pain tank, and that pain tank can get fuller and fuller and fuller, and that we need a way to drain that tank. And lament is a way to drain that tank and to let God release that pressure before it becomes overwhelming and it spills out into really harmful ways and things in our lives. And I thought that was a really helpful image. So lament in itself, it's helped me kind of process some repressed feelings and pain, and has helped me drain that tank and help me understand that God wants all of me. And that's been a really wonderful experience to understand who God is. And the other thing that has been super helpful besides Psalm 51 is my experience as a mother. So I feel like I gained a whole new insight into who God is and how he feels about us by being a mother. Because when my kids come to me and they're angry or they're sad or they're just upset, I don't want them to shove that down and just act right. I want to be a safe place for them. I want them to be able to express everything. I don't want them to feel like they have to hide something from me. And I think that is how God is with us, that we have the freedom and the space, and that God wants us to just let it all out. You know, a lot of times I remember having toddlers, I would always wonder, why is it that when we get home, my toddler acts crazy but out in public, they're okay. But when I get home, they're just, all the filters are off. But it's because they felt safe. It was because my son or my daughter felt safe enough to be fully themselves and every emotion that came with it. And I think that's what God wants to do for us. God wants to create that space for us. And lament is a way to enter into that space with God and feel his presence and feel his comfort and feel whatever it is that he wants to give us in that moment. But I think that relationship, that honest relationship with God, is at the heart of our faith. And the Hebrews knew that in the laments, and I think we have a lot to learn from that. And also just to open that up to God as part of our faith life, that's something we need to do on a regular basis. So that's something that I've been thinking about, just some reflections. I hope this series has been good for you and helping you deal with whatever is coming up for you, that God would feel near to you as you are faithful to him in that. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you around.